Hi, welcome to Carnivore Nation. This time we have a brilliant interview with a guy that's lost 7 stone, managed to reverse diabetes, and still enjoy his regular drink down the pub. Watch this one. Welcome back to Carnivore Nation, and I've got a fantastic guest here in George. Would you like to introduce yourself, George?
Yeah, sure. My name's George Goodenough. I've been watching YouTube now for a little while. We'll come to that. I'm 58 years old. I live in Bridgewater in Somerset. I'm a former soldier and I now work in the construction industry. So really that's my brief life history.
Okay, well, you reached out to me on one of my previous posts. So could you give us a little bit about your backstory and why you decided to help the carnivore lifestyle?
Sure. Okay. So really, you're asking the why. What put me in that direction? Well, basically, for many years, about 40 to the age of 56, I was deteriorating rapidly health-wise. From 40 until about, I suppose, 50, and then rapidly, I deteriorated the amount of weight. Was feeling very, very ill, and basically, I thought because I'm a veteran of the first Gulf War, I thought I was suffering from this illness called Gulf War syndrome. Suffering from a syndrome, but it was in fact metabolic syndrome that I was suffering from. And I got very little help really from the NHS over the years. They thought it was all in my mind. Basically, tried to fob me off onto a mental health organisation called Combat Stress. They are a very good organisation, but I didn't take them up on it because I was already had counselling, cognitive behavioural therapy. Basically just taught me to accept the fact that I was probably going to be ill for the rest of my life. But eventually I did manage to get some sense out of the NHS, which was in March last year, the very early part of March last year, when I had my bloods done. And they told me that I was a type 2 diabetic, 50 mmol, and as you probably know, 48 is the threshold for disease. Yeah. And also my triglycerides were high, and then we measured them as 4.7, which is high. Actually morbidly obese, 1 stone, which is up into the 40s of the BMI. And that was we're talking 19 months ago. Yeah, lipidemia, which is the high triglycerides, morbidly obese, 44 inches around the waist with diabetes. So I was a classic case of the metabolic syndrome. Interestingly enough, they never once mentioned the word metabolic syndrome to me, nor indeed insulin resistance. So the doctor issued me with 2 prescriptions, metformin and statins. But thankfully, and luckily for me, I had a start point. It was the Hairy Bikers, believe it or not, Cy and Dave Myers.
You know who the Hairy Bikers? They're 2 very hairy gentlemen that go around on motorbikes, but they're chefs, and they go into cooking in a different way. They look into it in more of the background and the detail, rather than just this recipe is this, and this. So they're very good at explaining why and what with it. So
yeah, I mean, I must point out that basically the science that they talk about is probably now obsolete, because they introduced me to a guy called Professor Roy Taylor. Now, Professor Roy Taylor is still very much active. He's from Newcastle University. And even back in those days, he realised that type 2 diabetes was not a life sentence and it could be reversed. However, he used the very low-calorie approach, which was 800 calories a day for 8 weeks, and using shakes, protein shakes. Massive weight loss, type 2 diabetes reversed. Now, the only problem with that, obviously, is that it's not sustainable. But Professor Roy Taylor was my start point. And as you know, when you start researching something, then Google throws up other things as well. It was then I discovered the low carb approach to reversing type 2 diabetes. The most helpful advice I got from the NHS was from a diabetes nurse called Kath. She told me that all carbohydrates, including the savoury ones that don't taste of sugar, they all turn to glucose in the blood. So that was a very good start point as well. And I went back to work, and my workmate Max told me about the ketogenic diet. So now I had several different approaches, several different ways in, if you like. But I was still blind. I wasn't never even heard of carnivore. I had heard of the Atkins diet. I've now heard of the keto diet. So basically, I then continued on Google and looking up the keto diet, and I went low carb, and I cut out, I think we've discussed this, the seeds and the peas. And it's not only the season of peas, there are other letters in there as well. But the season of peas are cakes, chocolates, cookies, if you borrow the American term, confectionery, candy, crisps, chips. There's probably some others as well. And the peas are pasta, pastry, pizza, potato, for example. And we can also, C as well as cereals, and obviously biscuits, which is the UK version of cookies. And then we go on to the ones at the end. I already mentioned pot noodles and also rice as well. So that was my initial elimination diet. But as you notice, so I was still using fruit, I was still using vegetables. I was really feeling my way in the dark because I didn't discover YouTube for anything other than music until the August of that year. So I went low carb and rapidly started losing some fat. Bought my own scales on March 21st, I think, and I'd already lost a stone, but just by going low carb, by cutting out all the season peas. So that was, again, a good start point. And then I saw a rapid reduction in weight. So, yeah, I've gone from 21 stone to 14 stone, but I was using kilos. So I was 133 kilos when it all started. By August, I was down 109 kilos. So I was then brave enough to ask for another blood test from the diabetes team. So on August 4th, I had another diabetes or blood panel basically done. And I had a routine appointment booked for August 22nd, phone call with Richard, the diabetes nurse who was dealing with me, because Kath had moved on by that time. But on August 9th, I got an urgent telephone call from my surgery, from Sandra, the head diabetes nurse. Yep. And I thought, I've done something terrible here because this is obviously an emergency phone call. So I said, shall I be worried? She said, no, absolutely. She should not be worried. She said, I just need to know what you've done. She said, you've reversed type 2 diabetes and smashed your triglycerides. My type 2 diabetes, my HbA1c had gone from 50 mmol in March, so down to 36. Now, as you probably know, pre-diabetes starts at 42. So just by doing fairly dirty keto, low carb, I'd actually, gone down to 6 points below pre-diabetes. My triglycerides had gone from 4.7 to 1.2. Wow. So they were in the normal range. Yeah. We lost, I think, I've gone from 133 kilos to 109 kilos by this time. So that was quite a significant weight loss. Again, only doing dirty keto, dirty self-taught keto, really, because I didn't really have the advantage of YouTube or anything. So I achieved incredible results on low carb versus keto versus carnivore.
So
also obviously the most recent photograph of me at 89 kilos. So that was a further 20 kilos from when I went to get my labs done. Right. And my waist size has gone from 44 down to I can squeeze into a 36 now. And I think another 7 pounds to go, and I'll be a comfortable 36. I might even get down to 34, which has been for a while, but it's entirely possible. That was August 4th. Now, even though Sandra phoned me on August 9th, Richard was so curious that he phoned me off grid, if you like, with the original appointment on August 22nd. And he said, yeah, I just need to know. I know Sandra phoned me. He said, but I've got a 30 minutes. Can you just explain to me what you've done? So I did. But by this time, I'd actually discovered YouTube, and my first point was basically reversing type 2 diabetes. And I discovered Dr. Sarah Hallberg's talk. Now, she is the late, great Dr. Sarah Hallberg, because she died of metastatic lung cancer, unfortunately, which is purely bad luck for her, because she was very, very healthy. But she did a TEDx talk in 2015, and the title of which is Reversing Type 2 Diabetes Starts with Ignoring the Guidelines. So basically, she was one of the rebel doctors. Unfortunately, she died in April 2022, so she's a great loss to our community. But that TEDx talk, which is 18 minutes and 6 seconds long, is there captured, permanently. So if anybody's not seen that, please do go and find it, because it's well worth it. It's very, very inspirational. And then, because obviously YouTube has the algorithm, which we know about, then I just started discovering other people. Dr. David Unwin, for example, who is the champion of the low carb doctors community in this country. And he's had massive success with his type 2 diabetes patients. I discovered Zoe Harkin, who is a PhD in this country. She was very good. And then, but the clincher for me really was discovering Dr. Berry. Mm-hmm. So a very specific video with Kelly Hogan. A woman eats only meat for 13 years. And it was that gave me the confidence to actually even think about carnivore. But this time I was still keto, so I just became aware of the benefits of carnivore. Then I'm an accidental carnivore because I was doing quite well, thank you, on keto. But then I discovered Dr. Paul Mason on Fibre, Zoe Harkin on Fibre, and realised that I was damaging. So I always had IBS, really bad constipation, bloating, and flatulence all my life. And going to the toilet was always a very uncomfortable experience, to say the least. I then learned about fibre, so I cut out all of the cruciferous vegetables, cabbages, sprouts, broccolis, all the stuff that's good for you. And then I suddenly realised that I was left with nothing apart from meat, fish, and eggs and dairy. So I suddenly sort of accidentally became a carnivore. Yeah. There was no great light bulb moment, no great announcement, I'm going carnivore. I just suddenly found that I had really no alternative. And of course, as we all know, when you cut out the fibre, your gut health improves immensely. Bloating anymore, experience is a lot less than it was, shall we say? Yeah. So about Christmas last year, I suppose I realised I kind of was a carnivore because on Christmas Day I was going to go traditional and eat the traditional Christmas dinner, really to please other people, not to please me. But I had half a roast potato and I realised I didn't actually want it, so I just helped myself to another helping of turkey and pigs and blanket, and that was me, pretty much a carnivore. Also, the spring, I'm a great lover of asparagus, and I had 2 stands of asparagus, so I love it, but I probably won't go back to it next year. And then when it comes to solid foods you have to chew, I'm pretty much 100% carnivore.
Okay, so you're wearing the Carnivore Soldier top there. I've noticed on there. He was one of the inspirations for me to get involved in carnivore. So if anyone wants to get some really good information, I think you'd agree with me, George. Carnivore Soldier is the site, and I'll put a link to his site for anyone.
Absolutely. I did the first episode of Mission Carnivore, which is specifically for veterans and physical and mental health. And basically, I'm now a badged resistant warrior for Larry's platoon, as he calls it. But Larry's platoon is in fact now 3,500 strong. So he is up to brigade strength.
Any ex-vets or military, please make contact to the Carnivore Soldier, because he has got a shed load of information and things you'd all find interesting.
And also he wants as many volunteers, carnivore volunteers, who are veteran, either soldiers, sailors, or air force, or indeed police or first responders, so emergency team people. He's putting together this Mission Carnivore series, and I think he's like about 5 or 6 at the moment. And it's very, very interesting, really. So, definitely. Veterans have now gone carnivore.
Absolutely brilliant. So how do you feel then with the results that you've achieved? And as you say, you stumbled across carnivore rather than was told about carnivore. How could you relay best? If someone said to me, if they hadn't met you and seen you in a previous, what would you explain to them about what it's done for you?
I mean, the thing is, it's totally turned my health around. I've lost 7 stones. I said 8 inches off my waist. Not only that, but the internal results, the no scale victory has been massive. I could barely walk or get dressed when I was 21 stone. And it's been a very slow process, but basically I've stopped it. It's like I haven't suddenly woken up and thought, oh God, my fibromyalgia is gone. Or my TMJD, which is a jaw problem's gone. I didn't suddenly start thinking, well, I'm not getting the cramps through my ribs anymore. And I didn't suddenly think, oh, my knees are better. But gradually you think, hang on a second, it's been ages since I've had an attack of any of these things. So the last to come back, and they're not quite back yet, but they're not painful anymore, they're stiff now. So you're probably just about old enough to remember them yourself, the wooden tops, the children's program from the 1960s and 70s. So I'm a bit wooden in my walking. But I'm actually now, this morning, I've done no exercise because I wasn't able to since I started this. So I've lost 7 stone without any cardio exercise. This morning I thought, instead of driving down to this office, walk, so I did about 30 minutes walking this morning. Yeah, I was stiff, but I enjoyed it and I was able to do it. Now I'm looking forward to taking up leisure walking again, because being an ex-soldier, I used to be an ultra distance athlete. Mile mountain marathons, and I did a trek to the Himalayas, went up to see Everest, didn't go up there. And so, walking to me, leisure walking is very important to me. And I've got a great mate called Jeff who really enjoys walking with me, and he is delighted now to know that he's about to get his walking buddy back and walk off and takes us to the pub.
I've always said that swimming's probably the best exercise because there's no pressure on the joints, and I think walking is by far the second best exercise that anyone can undertake, because it's not high intense and high, well, you can make it as intensive as you wish, but it's really good for the joints and the muscles and all that. So taking up a walking sort of hobby, I think will do you a world of good.
I
So
agree about swimming. However, swimming takes effort and money. Basically, you've actually got to go and find a swimming pool. You've got to pay to get in there.
yeah,
It takes a lot of time. Walking starts with a single step outside the front door.
yeah.
So walking is cheaper and it's more readily available. So yeah, I would totally agree. Walking is probably the best all round one. The best, but walking is the most available and is pretty good, especially if you put in a couple of hills if you can. I live on the Somerset level, so we're fairly flat here. But hey, just getting moving again, really. That's the most important.
So in other improvements, how is your sleep, your energy levels, think your well-being, as well as obviously the physical, recordable health matters? How did you find those?
Like the energy level is unbelievable. Like yourself, it's now level throughout the day. I feel fine in the morning, even when I've had a drink. Get that sugar dip in the afternoon, which I used to get, which you can only cure really with a Mars bar or a packet of crisps or something. No, it's not there at all. And I don't get tired. That's the thing. It's like I'm up for much longer now, and I find it very difficult sometimes to get to sleep at night because I am full of energy, basically. So, which is another reason why I want to start the walking again, to try and to actually just run my energy levels down a bit. Otherwise, I'm only sleeping about 6 or 7 hours a night now, versus the 10 or 11 that I used to have to get to, to be functional, basically.
Excellent. I found personally, I'm down to pretty much one meal a day now of what I call a meal, and I might snack on a little piece every now and then, a piece of meat or something like that. But have you found your eating routines have changed? Are you finding you're able to fast longer?
So I'm still transitioning, really. After I did chat with Carnivore Soldier on the Mission Carnivore, he came on the next day with a feedback video. He said, "Well, George eats some of the stuff that I wouldn't eat, and he drinks more than I drink." So I thought about what I actually said, and basically I was eating a German pork meatball called frikadellen from Aldi, canola oil, as in rapeseed oil, and some breadcrumbs and that sort of thing. But it was convenient, so I can improve this. So I got rid of that and replaced it instead with the cheapest I could find in Aldi. I'm not sponsored by Aldi; it's just such a cheap shop, so I think I can give them some credit. At the same time, my wife Lainey, who was not carnivore, but has now come around to the carnivore way of thinking, she was interested in cheese air frying. So she went down the air fryer route. So they're not the basic drawer ones. It's actually much more like an oven. I think it costs about 170 odd quid or thereabouts, but it's well worth it. And she's a complete air fryer fullback now. So instead of me taking pre-cooked and frikadellen to work, she now is and then puts it in the fridge. So in the mornings, I've changed my eating routine now. So in the mornings, I come down a bit early and I put it in the microwave for 5 minutes or so. And all the thick fat, which has gone to the surface, then melts down into it. And a bit of she puts in bottle or oxo, not perfect, but it just makes it more enjoyable, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then I had our good old favourite £1 Worcestershire sauce. Again, not perfect, but there's not much in the way of seed oil in there. So that just makes it interesting. And then I have one of those for breakfast before I go to work. I used to take food to work, hard-boiled eggs, smoked mackerel and chicken thighs. Now we've decided, because we've got the air fryer, we're going to try a different experiment this week. The fact that I fast every Monday between Sunday evening and Tuesday morning. So I don't need food on a Monday. So tomorrow she'll be cooking off she's also going to cook off a joint of beef in the air fryer. So then if I decide that I'm hungry when I get home, I'm going to carve off a few slices of beef, which will be replacing the ham I used to keep, and then I'll fry off eggs, and so I'll be for me for dinner. So I'm not one meal a day, but I do fast on a Monday, and sometimes I'll get home in the evening and think I'm just not hungry anyway. So then if I am, again, accidentally one meal a day, but I'm not very dogmatic about it all, because basically, dogma is it kind of, if you try and follow it too strictly, then it's difficult to follow, really, isn't it? That's the thing. Yeah. But if you get the general principles right, and again, talking about our mutual friend, Carnivore Soldier Larry, he has a great expression: "Do not let the pursuit of perfection stand in the way of excellence." if you're not, no, if you're not perfect, but you've got excellent results. Like I'm not perfect, but I've had excellent results. And what's the issue? What's the problem? Why chase that perfection when, when it impacts on your life, I suppose, your enjoyment of life. So I don't know what you think about that, Carl, but I'm a great believer.
I agree with you. That the hard and fast about carnivore, it's not dictatorial. You must do this, must do this, must do this. It's really giving you a direction what to do, and then with your lifestyle, you make a blend. Because you touched upon it a minute ago about alcohol, and part of the thing I've done on the thumbnail here is to mention that you've lost 7.5 stone, you've lost this sort of weight, but you're still drinking alcohol, which a lot of people say, "Oh, stay away from alcohol, etc." So I'm really interested to explore with you how you've worked it with still consuming alcohol and what you've done to find out about the right alcohols to have and not to have. So would you want to go?
I've been drinking most of my adult life. So I'm an ex-soldier. The naffy drinking culture in the army is very, very strong. Ex-rugby player, you can imagine yourself what that was like. We have a pub culture, which I think our friends from across the pond don't quite get. I mean, the thing is about England, been a drinking nation for centuries. So every town has lots of different pubs in it, doesn't it? And they're all in walking distance. So we don't have to drive to the pub. So it means we can actually drink more and not have to worry about driving. Whereas certainly our American friends and definitely Australian friends, they actually have to get into the car to go and have a drink, which means that restricts them. That restricts them anyway. Yeah. And also, most of my social life is based on fellow drinkers, people I meet in the pub. I tried not going out on a Sunday a couple of weeks ago because we thought, okay, we'll save a bit of money, and we sat at home bored because we always go to the pub at 12 o'clock on a Sunday. We meet up with our friends, maybe 2 or 3 hours. I got my sense of humour back now, which I've lost, and I find that a moderate amount of alcohol drives too much alcohol, I can't think anymore. But what I call moderate is not what the doctors would call moderate. So, how did I carry on drinking and still go low carb? Right, the most important thing to remember is that mixers, cola, orange juice, they are all high in fructose. Now, in my view, fructose is the most damaging of all the sugars. So you cut those out. I did some research, low-carb beers or carbs in beers, which I did for quite some time. I think I sent you the results.
Yeah, I've just put them up on the screen now, so people can see what you've done. And there'll be a link to it below as well, so people can get
excellent. Okay, so I discovered that all the standard beers or lagers in the pub, it is Carling, which is the lowest in terms of carbohydrate. It's also not particularly strong beer. Now, I was never a great fan of lager, but basically it means I can sit there, be sociable, have a drink which just gives me that slight buzz, and I'm only consuming fairly low carbs. Now, when I go out on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, I'll probably have 5 pints, and that'll be about 50 grams of carbs. 50 grams of carbs Carling in the pub. So moving on to when I get home, I'll probably drink another bottle of wine. Now, wine, that's full of sugar, isn't it? Actually, no, it's not. The two wines that I drink and the white wine that Elena drinks, we share Sauvignon Blanc. And Sauvignon Blanc, as I think you've discovered, is one of the lower carbohydrates.
I've just put up a couple of tables showing the white wine and the red wine from your information.
Absolutely, because I think we discussed this, and you did a bit more in-depth research than me into the other wines. Because I'm happy with Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir because both of those contain about 17 grams of carbohydrates per bottle. So basically, if I go to the pub and drink 5 pints or 50 grams of carbohydrates on board, and then when I get home, I'll drink another 17 grams of carbohydrates. So that's only 67 grams of carbohydrates in a day. It takes you out of ketosis temporarily. However, as I mentioned before, I always fast on a Monday, so that puts you back into ketosis. But by the time the Tuesday comes around, the liver's burnt off all the energy supplied by the alcohol. Now, at this point, let's mention the liver. And alcohol, ethanol is an insult to the liver. There's no question about it. So if I can just put a little disclaimer here, I'm not recommending that people drink. Because basically, if you want optimal health, the best practice is to not drink alcohol. I say again, if you want optimal health, the best practice is to not drink alcohol. However, if you're like me, you want to still enjoy your social life, which is based around the pub, then yeah, it's a question of being mindful of what you're drinking. Get rid of all the cocktails, all the sweeteners and that sort of thing. Port and sherry, fortified wines, Madeira, they're all off the table because they're high in sugars and in carbs. I think champagne's not bad. You probably know more about that than me, but I think if you use a brut champagne, that's pretty good.
Dry,
and we like
have less sugar. That's the natural.
Absolutely, yeah. We like the cheaper Spanish version of champagne, which is called cava or cava, as we pronounce it in English, but it should be called cava, I think. Yeah, so those are dry reds, dry whites, brut champagne or sparkling wines, and then Carling, as I said, is about 10 G of carbs. Now, unfortunately for yourself, I sent you, I think, my research on Guinness, and that is 18 grams of carbs. So straight away, you double the carb by drinking Guinness. So if you have 5 pints of Guinness, you're already up to the 90 carbs. Drink another 17 of wine when you get home, and suddenly you're over into 100 plus grams a day. Now, there is discussion about this, but I just regard low carb as being 100 grams or less a day of carbohydrates, and fewer, I should say. And the keto as being 50 grams or below a day, which I was taught originally. Some people say it should be 20 or 30. But, in my mind, 50 grams. And then carnivore, obviously, you're getting down to fairly close to zero if you're a true carnivore, kind of like me. So it's all about being mindful of the carbs. That's the most important thing. Now, I want to touch on the units of alcohol as well, because I'll be honest, I drink a few cans during the week, maybe 2 or 3 of an evening, apart from Monday and Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I wouldn't have either 2 or 3 cans of Carling. That's roughly 2 units in a can. And then, as I say, Saturday and Sunday, it's not usually drink 5 pints of Carling and a bottle of beer. So I'm probably between 50 and 55 units of alcohol a week. Now, that is going to make some people throw their hands up in horror, because basically, oh no, that's terrible, because we're only supposed to drink 28 units a week, I think, for men, or 14 for women, but they're trying to get you to drink lower and lower. However, I got to point out that these are the same people, these so-called experts, who tell us that we should be consuming 240 grams of carbohydrates a day. So they're still trying to dictate to us how much alcohol we should drink. Now, I lost all my visceral fat, so I might imagine my liver is coping very well. So who are these people to tell us how much we should be drinking? And also, you would have heard the term of beer belly. Is that, I think we discussed it before.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any such thing, because I'm still drinking 55 units of alcohol a week, including probably 15 pints of lager, 16 pints of lager. And I've got the fattest belly I've had for very many years. I believe it's not a beer belly. I believe it's not glucose. I believe it's a fructose belly, or certainly a carbohydrate belly, a sugar belly. Because basically, when you drink all that beer and you just carry on eating the sad diet, that's the standard American diet, which we pretty follow, if you're eating all the P's and the C's, the pizzas, the pastas, the breads, like you have a kebab on the way home from the pub, what you're doing is basically insulting the liver even further with all the fructose and crap that you're consuming. So therefore, your liver is overwhelmed by 2 insults, one being the ethanol, the other one being the sugar. However, if you just stick to the ethanol, the liver thinks, oh yeah, I'll just deal with that, that's no problem at all, because it's not having to fight off the fructose. So what's happened to me? Instead of putting on this massive beer belly, which I have, it's gone. And that's still drinking alcohol. So I don't like this term beer belly, because I don't think such a thing exists. I think it should be a fruit belly, or a carbohydrate belly, or a sugar belly. But also, the other thing to note is that the sugar is in fact maltose, not fructose. Now, maltose is a double bonded glucose, 2 molecules of glucose bond together. So there's no fructose there. And fructose is the devil incarnate when it comes to the liver. So I honestly believe that maltose is less damaging. Maltose is less damaging to the liver. It seems to be working for me. So we'll see.
Like you, we're not encouraging people to have alcohol, but what you're saying basically is that you can still do this type of lifestyle and have a few pleasures with it without having a major impact. And I think you used the expression earlier about being carb aware. So as long as you know what you're consuming and are aware of it, it's good. I agree with you say about the liver. The only issue from what I know is when the liver is dealing with alcohol, it stops creating bile, it stops burning fat. So if you drink, you're not going to carry on losing weight if you weren't drinking. But it doesn't mean you're going to stop losing weight. You've just put a pause on it. And it is down to lifestyle. And as I said, social and mixing with people as well-being is really good. So leading on to that, obviously with a social life, you go out and eat and things like that. How do you find trying to maintain a carnivore diet in a social environment, out eating in pubs, restaurants, etc.? So,
Well, okay, so the first thing, I just want to revisit your last point about the liver. I can't stress that enough how I do a 36-hour fast. After I've been drinking on Sunday, and when I go to bed on Sunday night, I don't eat again until Tuesday. So that gives the liver a chance to burn off all the alcohol. It also puts me into autophagy, which you've probably heard of, which goes, if I started damaging some of my mitochondria, then the body, because it's not trying to digest anything, it goes around and carries out a maintenance program, a bit like a factory shutdown. Yeah. So I can't stress enough, to me, it's very important that I give myself 36-hour fasts every week, and Monday's the obvious time to do it because to repair the damage done on the weekend. Yeah, the repair, the maintenance thing, the repair team. Yeah, so that's how I feel about that. But now we're going to move on to the social life with food. Now it's very difficult. You know, I don't use takeaways at all anymore, but that's because of the seed oils. I don't go to McDonald's, KFC, or any of the fast food joints anymore. But we still do like to eat out occasionally. Now here in Bridgewater, in Somerset, we have a wonderful Turkish restaurant or Mediterranean restaurant called the Green Olive. Now, if you go down the main course route, you will have all the rice, all the chips, all the vegetables that go with it. However, on the starter menu, if you just order starters, so you make up 2 or 3 starters, then the only thing that comes with it is a tiny little bit of side salad. So I have the parmak kofta, which is a lamb sausage. I have the onugia, which is a fried lamb's liver. I don't know, I'm not quite sure what they fry in, but I don't go often enough to, if they is a bit of seed oil, fair enough. And there's also a garlic sort of Turkish sausage as well. And you can actually go out to the mixed grill, which is the main course, and just say, I only want, I don't want anything with it, which is basically, it's a big selection of meat dishes. Up until recently, because I didn't want to be rude, I used to eat a little bit of salad on the plate, but now the technique is just pushing it to one side. And so I don't, so I can go out, eat perfectly normally, if you like, enjoy myself, drink the FS beer, drink the Shankale white wine, probably finish off with a black coffee and a raki. But if I'm still hungry, then I might go back to the starter menu and get another starter. For example, halloumi, which is a hard goat's cheese. Dairy's not too bad when you as a special. And then finish off with a black Turkish coffee and a raki. A raki being the aniseed drink. Yeah. So again, there's no carbs in the raki. There's alcohol, but there's no carbs. And also to touch on, the other thing I failed to mention when it comes to alcohol is drinking spirits. Spirits are very, very low carb. I just happen not to drink very much spirits anymore. About the only time I drink whiskey nowadays is on Burns night, because my father's great, half Scottish, and we used to take it very seriously. So we carry on that tradition. But if I'm drinking spirits at all, it tends to be gin in the pub. Now, a gin and tonic is high in carbs. Gin and diet tonic is very low in carbs, but it's also got some other nasties in there. But I've discovered online something called a gin Ricky. A gin Ricky is a tall drink, so it's a highball, a tall glass, and it's gin with the juice of half a lime, ice, and then soda water, which I believe they call seltzer water in the States. It was actually created by a guy called Senator Ricky over in the States. It's all online if you're interested. So again, that's if a pint of that is a good alternative to drinking beer, for example. So yeah, here in Bridgewater we've got a pub called the Malt Shuttle, and they a beer snack, which is a shared beer snack, if you like, which is a kilogram of chicken wings, grilled chicken wings. So when I go there with our friends, because one of our friends, Cora, actually works there, I don't share that with anybody else. And that is my main meal, a kilogram of chicken wings. And I treat myself to the peri-peri sauce that comes with it. I like peri-peri sauce. So that's another good option. It's much more difficult to go to standard restaurants nowadays, because we went to another pub over by the docks called the Apples Landing the other day. Yeah, they do the steaks and that sort of thing, but they all come with all the sides, don't they? They're included. So you know, I've had to change my mindset because obviously I grew up feeling guilty about leaving food. So nowadays I just have to leave it, you know, because that makes it difficult. But you know, I wish there was more carnivore restaurants out there. Carl, I think you touched on this before.
We were discussing this earlier, weren't we? And you understand there's a new carnivore restaurant has opened in Derby, is that right?
That's correct. Again, if you go online, you will find it. Just Carnivore Restaurant Derby, and you'll find it. The ironic thing is that it's taken over a vegan restaurant, which went bust.
Wow.
So yeah, but they're brilliant because basically they've got what I believe is the best way of dealing with carnivore. So you have your main meal, and then of course you get your sides, don't you? And of course your traditional sides are steak with onion rings, mushrooms, peas, and chips. But basically they give a much more interesting range of sides, such as bacon, eggs, seafood, for example. So your sides cease to be plant-based and they become animal-based. So eggs, cheese, maybe, you know, bacon. You know, think of it yourself. Think of what you would like as a side to a steak. Of course, the other great thing, of course, you probably just go for a bigger steak to begin with anyway to fill you up. So I really believe that is the way to go for carnivores. On the menu, if they're offering vegans, they should offer carnivore options as well. So instead of having the steak and the chips, you have a steak and eggs with maybe a surf and turf with eggs, because then you've got your sides as well. But you haven't got to send them back because they are edible for us rather than damaging to our bloodstream into the chips and onion rings and all the other rubbish that comes with it. So that's my thoughts on eating out, basically.
So I want to touch on you then. If you don't want to eat out and you want to eat at home, you and I have discussed previously about online purchasing, because obviously it is a big push for a lot of the carnivore kings, as I call them, the Ken Berries and that, talk about having grass-fed meats and all that, and there are online providers. So I've already done one review of one particular online provider, but obviously you and I had a conversation about it. So would you like to give us your thoughts on regards to online meat orders?
Yeah, absolutely. Because my wife, although she's not carnivore, she was a real carnivore skeptic to begin with. Actually, she said, "Oh, this is just a cult you're joining. They're going to make you send money to America. It's going to kill you." But she's seen the results over the last 19 months. Seen me lose 17 stone. Seen myself get my health back. So she's now on board. Now she likes her carbs. Fair play to her. She drinks Coca-Cola. She has a Danish pastry on a Sunday morning. She likes McDonald's. But she's become very much a supporter of the carnivore movement, if you like. And again, when I did the Carnivore Soldier, she really took to Larry. She liked Larry's style. Thought he was a good, honest bloke. Realised that it's not about a cult. We're not being encouraged to send money, across to America. So yeah, she's happy. So she really is now. She also bought into the air fryer. She's a real air fryer enthusiast, and she does the research for the online meat buying. Now, the first company she came up with was one called the Dorset Meat Company, which we've already had the box from, and we were very, very impressed, to be perfectly honest. She's now found one not far from us called Durslade Farm Shop, Durslade, in Bruce's in Somerset, and she's just ordered her first box online from there. I think she's asked for a delivery date to be Tuesday week. They do a £10 incentive, £10 discount incentive if you sign up for their newsletter. I think they're free delivery over 60. So we're interested in that one. She had a look at the one which you did, but she wasn't impressed by the price. She felt it was slightly overpriced, so we won't be using the one which she did. I won't name it because, but yeah, and also I've got a friend up in Western-super-Mare who's recently started carnivore. He's looking at it. I think he sent me the link to Muscle Food or something this morning. Which is basically an online meat buying. But Lainey was on it like my wife Lainey was on like a shot saying, no, that is a bodybuilding thing. So they are high protein, low fat. So stay away from them basically, because we want that being carnivore. We want the high fat content, not the high protein content. The protein's there anyway. Yeah. But it's the fat which drives us. So yeah, Lainey really, she's actually joined an international air fry group as well. So she's kind of got her own. Because she keeps me a bit. I said, yeah, you join the air fry cult. So it's kind of a bit of an overlap there because there's a bit of mutual interest because she loves premium meat as well. She's a big even though she's not carnivore, she likes to eat Yorkshire puddings and occasional roast potato, cauliflower, and sprouts. She's definitely a premium meat eater. So yeah, so from going to being sort of slightly at loggerheads in the household, we are now living in carnivore air fryer harmony, basically, which is
Fantastic.
very
Well,
nice.
I'm hoping to do a series of reviews on the various online meat sellers. So someone's got to do it. So if I have to eat steak, I'll take a bullet for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I offered to you before. If you flag up any, and if you want us to review it, if you got too many and you want us to cover a couple, Lainey would be more than happy to help out on that. Believe me.
Oh, well, I think that could be ideal because rather than just have my opinion, perhaps we'll do something on that one. I think that's a good idea. So obviously we're now in at the end of October, coming into November, and there's a big festival coming up called Christmas. For most of us. So, what are your plans to deal with, and have you got any tips to do with Christmas in terms of being a carnivore?
Absolutely, I have. Yeah, very much so. Because obviously, as we touched on before, the traditional Christmas dinner or Christmas lunch, I suppose I should say, in Britain, is a roast turkey with pigs and blankets. Then you have
Pigs and blankets. It's a chipolata sausage, which is a very small sausage wrapped in bacon and roasted in the oven. Delicious,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah. Apparently it's not a thing in America. So I spoke to Larry about it, and he thought it was a sausage roll, which he thought it was a sausage pastry. So I said no, it's sausage
Well,
bacon.
I'll put some pictures up what they look like, and then as I say, I used to use them as my in-between snacks. I used to make a whole tray load, and then when I felt peckish at night, I'd pop one.
Absolutely, that's a good idea. But the vegetables are where the problem is, carnivore, because roast potatoes obviously go with roast turkey, and everybody knows that you have to have Brussels sprouts with the roast dinner. And usually, there'll probably be another vegetable there as well, such as carrots, for example, or sweet to give it a bit of winter colour. We have to clear the roast potatoes, the Brussels sprouts, and the swede off the plate. So anyway, we carnivores, we've had to clear off the plate. So what do you replace it with? Well, the first thing you do is replace it with turkey. The second thing you do is up your pigs in blankets, basically. And then you can have whatever else you feel you want. You can add a couple of eggs or whatever. But I just personally would be having Christmas dinner this year with friends of mine who are aware that I'm carnivore. So the turkey that I have a bit more turkey. And Annie, the hostess with the mostess, she's promised me a double helping of pigs and blankets. Now that'll be enough for me because I'll probably have some gravy with it as well. Not perfect, but hey, it's fairly meaty. But having said that, Lady, I don't know why she's having a heart attack in the kitchen because of the lack of vegetables. She's going to be doing the starter. So she is offering choices here of meat pate, or prawn cocktail. So I've decided to go down the prawn route, but I've asked to be excused the cocktail bit of it. So I shall be having Atlantic prawns, wild Atlantic prawns in vinegar and salt. So I won't be having any of the Mary Rose sauce, which is made from seafood. Now, I think my low carb friend Glenn, he's a Glen low carb, they're less than 100 grams of carbs there, and they're seeing some good results actually. So that's interesting. But he will be doing the creme brulee, I think. I know what it is because I'm not that interested for obvious reasons. Yeah. I will not be partaking of that. So what I will be doing, we did this yesterday. My wife has now put the cheese board in I think it's there's either Dorset Meat Company, I think. They do a very wide selection of local cheeses. I can't remember exactly what they've asked for, but definitely one of them is the greens of Glastonbury, twang of cheddar, so a very strong cheddar. Definitely a blue cheese, and I can't remember which one it was now. I'll have to look it up, and I'll let you know in the future. And also, there is a good cream cheese. I think it's a Dorset Brie, which I've ordered. So again, for me, dairy cheese is a treat, but this is Christmas Day, so therefore I will be providing the cheese board. So that's how I am dealing with Christmas as a carnivore. Starter, prawns, no cocktail, vinegar and salt. Main course will be turkey, pigs and blankets and gravy, and then the cheese board will come after that. And that is how I'll be absolutely satiated by the time that.
Fantastic. Well, that's interesting because my mum was Irish, and traditionally what we used to have there, we used to have a free meat Christmas. We'd have a beef, a pork, and a bird. So it could be a goose, it could be a duck, whatever. I've got 6 older brothers, so there was a lot of mouths to feed on a Christmas day there. But so we tend to do that. But the other thing that we do for things like Christmas, I do a carnivore cheesecake, which consists of eggs, full fat cream, and soft cheese, soft like spreadable cheese. Although I switch it with mascarpone because I'm a bit of a sucker for mascarpone, and that's very good. And I bake that in the oven, and as long as you get it, the baking part right, it's a beautiful way of an alternative to a cheesecake. So just a little tip there.
Yeah, I mean, if it's is your thing, then yeah, it's harder. I think, but I'm happy with cheese as my dessert, so I won't be trying to come up with a carnival recipe for desserts or anything. I'll just stick to the cheese. We'll just have more bacon, pigs, and blankets. If I'm still hungry, so that's not a problem.
I mean, amazingly, the time's flown by. We're on 50 odd minutes now. So, is there any other bits that you think that we haven't covered that you want to mention, or get out there for people viewing this in terms of help or tips on carnivore?
Not really, no. Unless you, yeah, let's talk about your PhD, shall we? Because I know that I know you want to do a PhD, and I was thinking about that the other day because the excellent Zoe Harkin is a PhD herself.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you, are you going to do a PhD on the carnival way of eating?
Well, the principle of that, since I've been on carnivore and I've noticed the massive changes and improving changes in me, I thought I need to get this out, and the best way to do it is from a position of qualification in terms of a PhD in the area. So, but what I've done recently, and I've kind of more interested in going down, is seeing the relationship between the low-fat diets that was pushed onto all of us. So you and I are similar age, so all our lifetime we've been told about low-fat diets, and then the sudden increase in obesity, the steep increase in diabetes, dementia, Alzheimer's. And I believe they are all very related because of the low fat has triggered this. So rather than saying that is a belief, I want to, explore it and prove it, either that I'm right or I'm wrong. So that's the area I'm focusing on, and I'm using this channel, one, to get the message out there, but two, hopefully I can make the channel successful, that I can use it, because I want to do the PhD with a university somewhere like Cambridge or Oxford or something like that, that gives you the credibility that people look up and listen and don't think he's just some quirky doctor. So part of that. And I actually believe that relationship between the low fat, because on my journey in carnivore, I've gone through a number of phases, from first starting it and having the tummy changes, as you politely put it, then having the massive highs and benefits of weight dropping off me, the high energy, the better sleep. My wife's over the moon. I don't snore anymore. I'm not being woken up in the night and sent to the spare room anymore, so I'm even sleeping better because of that. But then it's the internal benefits where I know that, my body is functioning so much better. I've got a body now of when I was 18, and I'm 57 now. So I believe all that is got to be documented. But I do feel that the phase I'm at now, where I have very little body fat left on me, I have some, but very little, I'm now craving more fat than I am meat. And I believe I'm interested in exploring that. So I'm kind of using myself, and I'm documenting my progress on what I'm doing and seeing the results of it. And then I want to take that to a larger scale and see if it's right in what I'm believing. So that's where I'm at with the PhD idea, I'm pretty keen to do it, and I've already started doing the research. I'm doing a lot of background research on it, but obviously to get the credibility of the PhD, I need to take it to a university and push forward on that, and that's where I'm at the moment looking.
That's very true, because basically we've got quite a lot of good carnival influencers out there at the moment. Alex Cannon from Carnivore for Life. He appeared with Kerry from Homestead House for about 3 hours yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I
just
started watching that last night. Yeah,
just started.
yeah,
So
but it's 3
it's
hours.
going to
So
take ages.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've got quite good carnival influences, but we don't really, not in this country, we don't really have the carnival doctors and the professors. Now we've got Dr. David London, who is very good on low carb. There's a couple of doctors fairly local to me, who are also part of the public health collaboration, and they are low carbers. And then we have the excellent Zoe Harkin over at Cardiff University, PhD herself. But again, she's barely even low carb, but she just understands how the body works. But what we don't have is carnivore dedicated doctors or carnivore dedicated PhDs. So there is definitely an opening there for you to actually fill, and as you say.
I'm a big fan of Professor David Diamond, who talks about the high.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I got this book as well, which you can see I've been going through it, and I'm going to be using this for a lot of my referencing sources, because this book that's been produced is phenomenal. I'll put a link below to it on this, but I haven't been able to put this book down. It blows a hole in all the old science about low carb and low calorie and all that, and it almost goes to prove to me my theory that the high calorie is actually a healthy way to go. And it's interesting, a lot of the people that get to the older age are with high cholesterol. And I think is that Dr. Chafee believes that we genuinely have a body that should last 150 years, but it's our diet and our lifestyles that's preventing us achieving anywhere near that. So I'm really interested in exploring that. I mean, my father had diabetes and deteriorated massively, but through support and all that, he got to 90 plus. But what could he have got to if he didn't have those other issues? And I'd like to explore that sort of side of it and tie it in with
the longevity issue is very interesting. So you're probably aware of Maggie up in Canada, who Dr. Chafee and Kerry Mann from Homestead How they've been visiting. She's 82 and still wrangling bulls, as they say.
That woman is amazing. She is outstanding. And you hear what Kerry was saying about, she was lumping great big fence panels around and that, and he was struggling with them, and she
exactly. So yeah. The longevity issue is definitely something worthwhile for you looking into your PhD.
Yeah.
And you can use people like Maggie and maybe Mitch, old guy carnivore, who's 76 and recently discovered carnivore over in Florida. They're the healthiest they've ever been, basically. So yeah, there's so much you can do on your PhD. And of course, if you need anecdotal experiments, then I'm here, and there's plenty of other people out there.
You're guinea pig number one.
Exactly, yeah. What's saying N equals 1 or something? That's like when you do an experiment on yourself. Yeah. So we are all our own experiments, basically, aren't we? And I am probably the best one to come to study the effects of alcohol on the carnivore diet, because I'm unashamedly an alcohol abuser, as I'm sure the system will call it. I don't think I'm an alcoholic, but because I still function quite well. But 55 years of alcohol weight is alcohol abuse, and yet look at me. I'm living, walking, breathing proof that you can still be healthy.
So it's what it is. So you're not intending on doing your own YouTube channel or anything like that, are you?
No. Again, the reason for that is that basically I know that YouTube. I work 5.5 day weeks in the construction industry. I know how busy YouTube is. So I see myself in a support role to you guys, because as YouTubers, you find it very hard to do your own channel and then keep up with it with everybody else. So what I'm doing is that basically I'm across all channels, and I'm finding, even not being a YouTuber myself, I'm finding it hard to keep up with them. So I'm having to have a list of a hierarchy, if you know what I mean. So yourself, Paul from UK Carnivore, Guy, Sarah from Carnivore, Imperfect Carnivore, I think she calls herself now, and then obviously Larry, our mutual friend Larry, over in the States. But I can't keep up with Dave Mack from Australia, because he's just constantly putting on hour-long video. I can't keep up. And it's kind of the same with Kerry. It's kind of the same with Kerry as well.
You can almost get an overload, like a tsunami of information. So you've got to filter through.
What's happened since I started studying carnivore on YouTube last year? 2023 seems to be the year of carnivore. There are literally dozens of new carnivores there in 2023 who are YouTubing, and I can't keep up with them all, basically.
The carnivore movement is definitely growing, and like you said about the restaurants bit, at the moment we're aware of one restaurant, but you remember years ago vegans couldn't get a meal in a restaurant anywhere. Now, if anything, there's probably more vegan and vegetarian meals than there are carnivore meals. So I feel that if we can get ourselves organised as a community and keep the message out there, that businesses will suddenly realise there's a marketplace there, and hopefully there'll be more options for us carnivores, and we can sit alongside vegetarians and vegans and all that, and promise not to eat them, but we could have a carnivore. So
you're right. So again, just to remind you, that carnivore restaurant in Derby is worthwhile having a look at. Yeah, so yeah, I think that probably pretty much wraps up now. To be honest, you can't. Otherwise,
I think we're wrapped
I'm
up.
just going to end up being another carnival bore, which is what I'm accused of sometimes in the pub because I'm so evangelical.
It's very difficult not to become that way, though. It's because you're so passionate about it, because you can see the benefits, you know. But you're right.
And you want everybody else to benefit as well. But yeah, if you start becoming bored, you start getting a bit socially isolated. So yeah, I've learned now to advertise it through Carnivore Soldier, and if people want to come and talk to me about it, I'm more than happy to do so. I've got a couple of new recruits to Carnivore. They're both finding it very difficult. My friend in Western confessed to me the other day they had a lamb biryani, but again, it's lamb, so what's the problem there, really? A young chap at work who's very, very interested. He had a good week, and then he fed off. He's back on the pasta, you know. But we all, you know, it's what Larry calls resilience, isn't it? You fall off, you get back on the horse.
But this is the great thing about the carnivore. There's no right or wrong. If you, as you say, if you fall off, just carry on. It's about living. It's about improving your life. It doesn't have to. Too many people fall off and think, "Oh, that's it. I can't do it anymore." Just get.
Yeah. And of course, the other thing to point out is there is no such thing as a carnivore police. So if you have a slice of cake on your birthday, you will not be dragged out of your bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to be arrested by the carnivore police. So
thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. And please, if you like this sort of content, please follow and subscribe. I'll put any links that George wants to share with you in case he's doing other interviews of others. So I'll include the link to his conversation with the Carnivore Soldier and any others that George does. So thanks again.